glory. We lay our future in thy hand. United, free for liberty, together we'll always stand.
At this point, I believe we have all of the 4 panelist speakers here. I'll go ahead and do an introduction, and once we have our PowerPoint up, we will go through the formal procedure in being able to acknowledge and recognize all of our panelist speakers today. On our far right, we have Mr. Bwewo. This is Makerere University Guild President. He's here with us today, and he will be sharing with us some information.
My name is Bwewo. Currently the serving Guild President, Makerere University, but proudly a Ugandan and a youth interested in development and sharing ideas, creating networks and professional development. Looking forward to sharing with you more and more as time goes on.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello again. My name is Ruth Bahika. I'm a child psychologist by profession. I'm also the president of the International Community of Banyakigezi. It's called ICOP. And I'm also the founder and executive director of a home for girls in Kampala called Grace Villa. It's a home for orphans and vulnerable girls.
Okay.
Some people prefer calling me a motivational speaker. I'm also an organizational psychologist. I'm also the learning and development consultant at IFP Consultants, based at Serena Conference Center. And I'm also proudly Deputy General Secretary of International Committee of Banyakigezi. Thank you.
My name is Nabilah Ssempala. I'm the MP for Kampala City. I'm the Shadow Minister for Information. I hold a Master's in Public Administration because that's what I've been doing for almost 15 years as a councillor LC5. I'm a farmer, and I also own a school in Machindi. That's Bluedells Kindergarten and primary school. In brief, that's what brings me money when I'm not politicking. Thank you so much.
Allow me to appreciate the presence of a gentleman in our midst, seen in our country. I know he's not part of the panel, but we want to recognize his presence, Mr. Ssempala. I just say something.
I'm called Kiza Zefania Seninde. I'm the UNA representative in this country. UNA means Uganda North American Association.
Thank you very much.
Breaking barriers, connecting cultures, myself being the founder and president, as I mentioned earlier on today, decided there needs to be something done back home in Uganda. There needs to be some effort, energy, and time, resources, investment applied directly here on the base. I will also mention our lovely sponsors, NTV Uganda. For those who have seen the publicity which has gone out on television, on Facebook, on Twitter, on the websites for Breaking Barriers or NTV Uganda, NTV Uganda has been very, very generous in giving us a lot of promo, advertisement, being able to go live on air, to be able to showcase Breaking Barriers' success without compromise, inaugural conference. That is an established relationship we have today, and we'd love to carry on. As I mentioned before, this forum we're having, we'd love to see this continue moving forward. Not just for today, but for many years to come. We want to continue having this on an ongoing circumstance. A lot of things that I've seen in the past in the US, and I think maybe similar here in Uganda, there's a lot of individuals who will talk about, well, how can we start change? What are what are some of the things which have hindered us from progressing as a society? And we do a great job of talking about what we're doing wrong and the things we're doing, but how many of us are actually pushing initiatives forward in order to be able to accomplish those things? We need to work together and hold ourselves accountable for these issues which are affecting not only us, but society at whole. You see, we can't really get to the next level and prosper if we don't have accountability for the actions and the steps which need to be taken in order to be able to advance in society. I asked earlier on how many of you how many people here had something to share in terms of their vision or in terms of their perception of breaking barriers, success without compromise. What does it mean to you? A lot of individuals mentioned what it meant to them. Some people talked about, their goals and aspirations with starting, a humanitarian project, being able to help those who are unfortunate and less disadvantaged. Others talked about their career pursuits, how they haven't been able to achieve some of their accomplishments because of the fact that, unfair practices. So there's a lot of different things which we're encountering, and I don't think that the people who have mentioned those things are alone. I think we have similar issues and similar disadvantages that we're facing. So today we need to talk about those things and find a way that we as a community can present solutions which can enable us to move forward. Professional and personal networking is a skill, personal concept. It's a trait and it's a skill set that you need to develop. These are soft skills that you need to have. It's not just for professional gain, but when you think of your network, what comes to mind? This is a question. I'm not just going to give out my response, but I want to find out from the audience. When you think of your network, is it Facebook? Are we talking about LinkedIn? Are we talking about Viber, Skype? Or are we talking about the people you meet at the local bar? Are we talking about the people who you keep in the classroom? What are some people's networks here? I want to find out what is your personal network. Anybody have any? Yes, sir.
When I hear about network, I already think of those people who are in line with my vision. Personally, I'm interested in leadership, so I always look into those people who are aspiring to get somewhere. So I always look into those people who are also interested in leadership.
Part of the network I have is like today, what is here. I love this. Secondly, I network with politicians because I know they can take us somewhere. I network also with village leaders. Sometimes when I go back to holidays, I go and meet them and discuss some issues. And students, since I'm a student, also network with serious students who have developmental issues, not just other. So that is my network.
I do mass communication, so my networks are people who are in the media. Since it's mass communication, it's a large thing. There's radio, there's TV, so I make sure that I have people who can help me, like in TV, radio, like I talk to some people from NTV, and then we have lecturers who have worked in all these 5 platforms, so I try to talk to them and see how they can help me.
Because I deal with a lot of charity and traveling, I network a lot with Facebook, WhatsApp, Twitter. I do a lot of that, and I'm planning to open up a website that can connect me to the world. So I love social media.
Okay, I'll use an example of my face. I believe it's much more of a horizontal relationship. If you're alone, like if you have one finger, it can't hold a pen, but if I have my fingers, they can hold something. So we achieve our part we all achieve our role as part of something. If, for example, we ought to have had to organize for this conference, we involve the people of the venue, we involve the speakers themselves, we the people who came to listen. If there was no network, we would have no such thing. But because we have cultivated these important relationships and we are all achieving our role as part of us all, that is what we mean by the professional networking in my opinion.
That being said, I'll move on to what networking can do for you. I have here, a couple of points. Networking will enable you to form connections with people so that you can get more of whatever you're looking for. I just mentioned a few things there. If you have specific objectives and goals, things that you want to accomplish, you can achieve that through your network. It's very simply said. It's about those relationships that you've built with the people that you associate with, people who you keep close to you. If somebody is a friend of yours or someone's an associate, hopefully they understand you, they know your principles, they know what you're about, they understand your goals, and they're willing, in most cases, to help you achieve those goals. If not, they may not be in the right network. Now, I'm not saying that somebody is going to put down $100 or 150,000 shillings for you to go ahead and buy whatever it is, but they should be willing to assist you with getting the resources necessary, the information to move you forward in your aspiration. And that's the kind of people you want to keep in your network. And that's what I believe to be true. If somebody's in your network and they value your time, they will be willing to sit with you to talk about some of the things that you want to do to move forward, to progress. We, as a community, need to do that more. We need to be willing to sit down and understand some of the things which can help our peers to move forward. That's the importance of networking. It should be for the better development of not only ourselves, but for our peers, so that everybody prospers. So I talked about personal brand. Let's take a look at some of those brands up there. Does anyone kind of want to give me a kind of shout out? Who knows the brand on the far left? Apple. Apple. Okay, how about on the right? No. Right next to Apple. What's that on the right? Exactly. All right. Then we have obviously BMW, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, and Microsoft. There's a reason why I actually included these on this slide. There's a very, very key reason. When you guys think of Apple, what comes to mind? Just shout it out. I'm not going to ask for anyone. iPhone. Computer technology. Steve Jobs. Cool. Nike. Hopefully everybody knows what Nike is, right? You guys watch soccer. I'm pretty sure you guys know Nike. Basketball, football, right? BMW. I mean, it says enough for itself. So the reason why I put these brands there, because when somebody views it, it's just a logo. It's just an image. Just like Breaking Bears, we have an image. You want your image to be viewed in a very positive light. When somebody looks at it 5 seconds, they already know what they want, they know what they're seeing. What is that image, that concept, that idea, what does it portray? It's just perception. It should be a positive, crisp, concise perception of what that can deliver to you. You're an audience, obviously they're a brand, but we as individuals, we have a brand, like it or not. We do have a brand. So personal branding is exactly that. It's basically, brands, they do dominate our culture. They help inform our perceptions and decisions. So when you're looking at somebody, you're talking to them, there are a few things which will come to mind, the person who's interacting with you, and they, in most cases, in a very short period of time, they'll be able to understand, okay, this person is this and that. And then that's going to determine how much time and emphasis they're going to spend on speaking with you.
Adam Small quotes, networking is the single most powerful marketing tactic to accelerate and sustain success for any individual or organization. Unfortunately, it's not about who you know. It's about who knows you. You know as very many people as possible. Congratulations. But do they know you in return? When we get to ask ourselves such questions of who knows me, then the next question should definitely follow. What will they know me? Those of you who are interested in politics, when you do not have a team that you network with, the best you can do is fail the first time, fail the second time, be depressed, remain a miserable man or a woman. When you have a team that you network with, you will win, and win till you say, who wants to take over? And you will die a happy man or woman. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Ivan. I'll just pass it over on a roll.
Thank you, John Ssemmanda. I think he's a very incredible young man. What I realized is that he's using that word network very well. and effectively. Personally, I think it starts with people. Value and treasure fellow human beings. It's very important. No one is too small to make your acquaintance. And no one is too big to make your acquaintance. And I think that breaks the opportunity for people to network. You start measuring people when you meet them. I think it diminishes your capacity to build them into your networks. Oh, those are too big for me. Oh, I think that's such a big person. Oh, I think at a personal level, I feel so sad that people measure people because of what they do. For me, I think networks in this country are a given because of our communal nature. But we are breaking that with what we perceive and perception. My network, especially in Kampala, are the ordinary people. That's my network. A border, one person will be riding with me in my car, and a border will rush and say, and I know them by name. That makes them very trusted. They trust me, they know that I look at them at the same level. We are human beings, and we're in Kampala. Networks is about people all the time. And we should not tire to build and build and build and build. Thank you so much.
People network of friends add value and asset value to you. If you're a politician, those people who really offer you that support, then you go to the local communities. If you're looking at the corporate world, you are looking for jobs, you have to look for someone who will offer you that asset in terms of value to garner your support. Two, with an N, the network value. Are you this kind of person who just moves around club, governor, to silk, wherever? Then there is the G, the genius element. There's some people around us who, even in despite wrong circumstances, difficult circumstances, you'll go to them and they'll offer you that genius support. And you won't believe it, that the person next close to you is offering you that genius support. Then the E. Do you have people around you who offer you the experience? That I want to join politics, but I need an experience of certain person to enable me become a politician in 2021. Then L, the light. We have the most difficult aspects of a person called human being. 90% of human beings look at things with the wrong perspective. Negativity. Now, if you can get someone who can offer you that light, whereby you can walk out of this room with your jacket well high up, then that person will need to be your network. Then the S, the serenity. You need coaches, you need mentors to uplift you from one position to another. If you can define your friends through that acronym ANGELS, then I'm certainly very sure you will be successful, irrespective of the time limit. Because some of us think success is a straight line like A to Z. My friend, you'll be wrong. If you want to define success, just define by the number of times you hit the rock, try to swim out of that rock until you get the top. And that will mean an impact your successful nature. You will feel valued at the top. Thank you.
So I lived in Boston, Massachusetts for 20 years as a child psychologist. I graduated, got a good job, and was living a happy, comfortable life. I reached a point where, well, one day, it's a long story, but I'll cut it short. I watched a documentary about the situation in northern Uganda called Invisible Children. For me, it changed the way I think. So for me, I love the invisible children, because it opened my eyes to something that was happening in my own country, and I didn't know much about it. I was just, like most of us, because how many of you knew the extent of what was happening in northern Uganda at that time? So it awakened something in me where I started becoming active. I actually got the DVD and emailed the person at the bottom of the DVD and said, how can I help become a part of this, what you're doing? And long story short, I became the East Coast representative for invisible children, and I'm shy as a person, but I started speaking in schools, speaking in churches, because I felt like I was the voice. So if I didn't speak, who would? And the first place we went to speak was, I met our senator then, and it was Kennedy, the late Ted Kennedy. And I remember in his office they said, well, if this is such a big problem, how come we've never heard of it? We've heard of Darfur and everything, we've never heard of northern Uganda. So it became our objective, basically, to go around making noise, not raising money, not anything, but just making a lot of noise. And an interesting thing happened. I saw how, I was young back then, how a young person can actually make an impact by doing what you are passionate about. So I said volunteering slowly, and basically ended up, now I live in Kampala, I live with my girls who I'm helping. So I guess those are my, maybe we'll talk a bit more, and you'll hear more about it, but thank you very much.
My question is simple. I would like to ask anyone, be it amongst the panelists or the public around here, to give us some of the basic principles on how we can learn, for beginners, on how we can train ourselves how to coordinate these teams. Because we understand the essence, but we don't know how to use it. Thank you.
I am on Facebook, and the bashing one, I'm, I think, one of the most ardent Facebook politicians. I post what I'm doing, then somebody answers.